Hi, everyone. Hi, Joey. How are you? Hi, Marion. How are you today? Lucas, are you there? How are you? Hey, William. Is Kevin there? Kevin? We're going to read a story today. Do you know what it's about? Monkey's giving you a clue. What do you think? Here's another clue. What's this? Oh, what do you think? Well, I'm going to begin, and Monkey will sit over here, and I will begin the story. Here we go. Everybody ready? Ready. Okay. Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel. Now, this is an old book. It was written before you were born and even before I was born. So when we read the story, I want you to look for things that are old. I'll give you a clue. If you see a horse pulling a cart, that's because before there were cars or automobiles, we had horses and they pulled things. And even after we started to have a lot of cars, there were still sometimes horses that pulled things like fire engines and carts that held food and things like that. So watch for horses pulling carts in this wonderful story of Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel. Here we go. Mike Mulligan had a steam shovel, a beautiful red steam shovel. Her name was Mary Ann. Mike Mulligan was very proud of Mary Ann. He always said that she could dig as much in a day as 100 men could dig in a week. He had never been quite sure that this was true. Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann had been digging together for years and years. Mike Mulligan took such good care of Mary Ann that she never got old. Look at that. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who dug the great canals for the big boats to go through. There go the boats. Wow, that was a lot of digging. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who cut through the high mountains so that the trains could go through. Yay, good job. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who lowered the hills and straightened the curves so that to make the highway for automobiles. Look, I see buses and trucks and cars. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who smoothed the ground and filled the holes to make landing fields for airplanes. Oh, coming in for a landing. And it was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who dug the deep holes for the cellars of the tall skyscrapers in the big cities. When people used to stop and watch them, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann used to dig a little faster and a little better. The more people stopped, the faster and better they dug. Some days they would keep as many as 37 trucks busy taking away the dirt that they dug. Now that's a digger. But then along came the new gasoline shovels and the new electric shovels and the new diesel motor shovels, and they took all the jobs away from the steam shovels. Well, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann were very sad. Don't they look sad? It even looks like Mary Ann is crying a little bit. the other steam shovels were being sold for junk or left out in the gravel pits to rust and fall apart. Mike loved Mary Ann. He couldn't let that happen to her. He just couldn't. He had taken such good care of her that she could still dig as much in a day as 100 men could dig in a week. At least he thought she could. But he wasn't quite sure. Everywhere they went, the new gas shovels and the new electric shovels and the new diesel motor shovels had all the jobs. No one wanted Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann anymore. Then one day, Mike read in a newspaper that the town of Pauperville was going to build a new town hall. We're going to dig that cellar of that town hall, Mike told Mary Ann. And off they went. What a great idea. They left the canals and the railroads and the highways and the airports and the big city where no one wanted them, and they went out to the country. They crawled along slowly up hills and down the hills until they came to the little town of Pauperville. There they are in Pauperville. There they are. When they got there, they found that selectmen were just deciding who should dig the cellar for the new town hall. Mike Mulligan spoke to Henry B. Swap, one of the selectmen. "I heard," he said, "that you are going to build a town hall. Mary Ann and I can dig that cellar in just one day." "What?" Henry B. Swap said. "Dig a cellar in a day? It would take 100 men at least a week to dig the cellar for our new town hall." "Sure," said Mike, "but Mary Ann can dig as much in a day as 100 men can dig in a week." Though he had never been quite sure that this was true. And then he added, "If we don't do it, you don't have to pay." Well, Henry B. Swap thought this would be an easy way to get part of the cellar dug for nothing. So he smiled in a rather mean way and gave the job of digging the cellar of the new town hall to Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. They started the next morning just as the sun came up. Soon a little boy came along. "Do you think you'll be able to finish by sundown?" he asked. "Sure," said Mike, "if you stay and watch us. When someone is watching, we always dig a little better and a little faster." So the little boy and his dog stayed to watch. It almost looks like Lucas and Zodi. Then Mrs. McGillicuddy, Henry B. Swap, and the town constable came over to see what was going on. Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dug a little faster and a little better. There they go. This gave the little boy a good idea. He ran off and told the postman with the morning mail, the telegraph boy on his bicycle, the milkman with his cart and horse, and the doctor on his way home, and a farmer and his family coming into town for the day, and they all stopped and stayed to watch. That made Mary Ann and Mike dig a little faster and a little better. They finished the first corner neat and square, but the sun was getting higher. They look happy. Clang, clang, clang! The fire department arrived. They had seen the smoke and thought there was a fire. Then the little boy said, "Why don't you just stay and watch?" So the fire department of Pauperville stayed to watch Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. When they heard the fire engine, the children in the school across the street couldn't keep their eye on their lessons. So the teacher called a long recess, and the whole school came out to watch. That made Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dig a little faster and a little better. They finished the second corner neat and square, but the sun was right up in the middle of the sky. Now the girl who answered the telephone called up the next towns of Bangerville and Bopperville and Nipperville and Nopperville and told them what was happening in Popperville. So all the people came over to see if Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel could dig that cellar in just one day. The more people came, the faster and better Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dug. But they would have to hurry. They were only halfway through, and the sun was about to go down. Look. They finished the third corner, neat and square. Never had Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann had so many people to watch them. Never had they dug so fast and so well, and never had the sun seemed to go down so fast. "Hurry, Mike Mulligan, hurry!" shouted the little boy. "There's not much more time." Oh, will they make it? Dirt was flying everywhere, and the smoke and the steam were so thick, but people could hardly see anything. But listen! Bing, bang, clash, slam, louder and louder, faster and faster. Oh, I hope they'll make it. I hope they'll make it. Then suddenly it was quiet. 4 corners neat and square, 4 walls straight down, and Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann at the bottom, and the sun was just going down behind the hill. "Hooray!" shouted the people. "Hooray for Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel! They have dug the cellar in just one day." Yay! Suddenly, the little boy said, "How are they going to get out?" "That's right," said Mrs. McGillicuddy to Henry B. Swap. "How is he going to get his steam shovel out?" Henry B. Swap didn't answer, but he smiled in a mean way. Then everybody said, "How are they going to get out? Hi, Mike Mulligan. How are you going to get out? How are you going to get your steam shovel out?" Mike Mulligan looked around at the 4 square walls and the 4 square corners, and he said, "We dug so fast and we dug so well that we've quite forgotten to leave a way out." Nothing like this had ever happened before to Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and they didn't know what to do. What would you do? Well, nothing like this had ever happened in Popperville. Everybody started talking at once, and everybody had a different idea, and everybody thought that his idea was the best. They talked and they talked and they talked and they argued and they fought until they were worn out, and still no one knew how Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann would get out of the cellar that they had dug. Then Henry B. Swap said, "The job isn't finished because Mary Ann isn't out of the cellar, so Mike Mulligan won't get paid." And he smiled again in that rather mean smile. Now, the little boy who had been keeping very quiet had another good idea. He said, "Why couldn't we leave Mary Ann in the cellar and build the new town hall above her?" Good idea. "Let her be the furnace for the new town hall, and let Mike Mulligan be the janitor. Then you wouldn't have to buy a furnace, and we could pay Mike Mulligan for digging the cellar in just one day." Great idea, little boy. "Why not?" said Henry B. Swap, and he smiled in a way that wasn't quite so mean. "Why not?" said Mrs. McGillicuddy. "Why not?" said the town constable. "Why not?" said all the people. So they found a ladder and climbed down to the cellar to ask Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. "Why not?" said Mike Mulligan, and so it was decided, and everyone was happy. They built the new town hall right over Mike and Mary Ann, and it was finished before winter. can see them down there. Every day, the little boy goes over to see Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and Mrs. McGillicuddy takes him a nice hot apple pie. As for Henry B. Swap, he spends most of his time in the cellar of the new town hall, listening to the stories that Mike Mulligan has to tell, and smiling in a way that isn't mean at all. He became nice. Now, when you go to Pauperville, be sure to go down into the cellar of the new town hall. There they'll be, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. Mike in his rocking chair smoking his pipe, and Mary Ann beside him, warming up the meetings in the new town hall. Isn't that a nice story? Yes. Did you like it? Kitty Cat liked it. Yeah. Okay. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.